Degree Net Podcast. Third Degree, the Third Degree Net Podcast. Third Degree, the Third Degree Net Podcast.
Well, hello there, DFW soccer curious person you. Welcome to another episode of Third Degree, the podcast. Today there is no Dan Crooke. I don't know why. I'm sure it's important, but we miss him nonetheless. But that means you get me and your hero, my hero, everybody's hero, editor, founder, thirddegree.net, and the original soccer influencer himself, Buzz Carrick. Come in, Buzz.
Well, Dan is not here because it's his birthday on Thursday. Yep.
Wait, is Dan one? See, I never took Dan as a long-term birthday celebrator.
Well, I believe it's related to people coming to visit him, coming in town. You know, friends, family.
But Buzz, did you ever think Dan was the kind of guy that people traveled in to celebrate a birthday kind of guy? He's so low key.
Yeah, he's from England though, so I mean,
is that an English thing? People in England travel.
He doesn't see people often, I guess, or maybe it's a special. I know he's like 50, right? So that could be a big one.
Oh, does he turn 50 this week?
I have no idea. He's probably more like 30 than he is 50.
Yeah, man.
I don't think he's.
We
50.
just aged him.
We're way older than him.
He's English, so he looks older than he really is.
It's the beard that makes him look older and
That's
wise.
right. Yeah, we're gonna find out he's like 34 or something.
Yeah, I think that's probably pretty close.
All right, do you want to stop down and sing Dan happy birthday before we
No,
move
we
on?
don't. No one wants to hear that. No,
Come on, you don't want to do
no.
it. We could do you can come up with a cool version or a genre
Mr.
of happy
President. No.
Okay, now I want to hear the rest of that.
No,
I want to hear
other.
Buzz
That's
do
it.
his Marilyn Monroe sexing up JFK birthday song. That's what I want to hear.
Yep. Good luck with that.
Watch
Get used to
downloads
disappointment.
skyrocket through the roof. Suddenly Buzz is number 3 with a hot bullet right there in the podcast charts.
No.
Well, Buzz, look at this. It is the first back-to-back home victory pod of the season and only the second back-to-back victory pod of any kind of 2025. Here we are with just 5 or 6 games left. The team finally screwed together 2 back-to-back home wins. Congratulations to them as they beat up on the Rapids in good fashion over the weekend, and Reggie Cannon too.
Yes.
And so in good standing, the team now, Buzz, as you have noted, is undefeated in their last 6. And somehow magically,
it's not just the last 6. It's a very specific thing happened.
What is that?
They booted Acosta. Since Quill jettisoned Acosta, and not the sale, but like stopped picking him, like dumped him onto the Netherlands of training grounds or whatever.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, it directly lines up from the last game was the game where he got in trouble in California, and they came back and then they let him sub in against New York City SC, and it crashed it and wrecked it, and they lost 4-3, and he never played again. And since then, since he was banished, basically, they're 3-0-3.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and a loss.
It is pretty incredible, and it also just points out the fact that Dallas currently is sitting in one of the play-in game spots just highlights the fact how ridiculous this league is, where it's harder to not make the playoffs or the play-in than it is to make it or not make it. Than to make it. And I would say that if you fail to make the play-in or playoff games 2 seasons in a row, embarrassment is not the correct term for that. So we're really rooting. I mean, I think we've had this discussion as to whether or not we think it's the best path for Dallas to qualify for any of this, because we're worried about the internal effect or signing off or whatever that gives.
Well, I think we would be more worried about that. And by the way, they're getting some help in getting it, because RSL and San Jose both have collapsed, and they're 1-4 over their last 5.
Wow.
Houston's 2-2 and 1. That's the closest that's to a good team right now. Colorado 2-3 now in the last 5. So they're getting a little help, but they are getting it done. And I think the important thing to acknowledge in terms of like that idea of would missing have been better, in the sense that like if they make it, they'll be like, look, see, we're a playoff team. Well, the turnaround has begun in the sense of like since they moved on from Acosta, the defense has been clamped down. They've gone from like a 1.5 goals per game allowed down to like 0.5 goals a game allowed. So like, yes, maybe they will acknowledge like, oh, we think we're better than you guys maybe give us credit for, but they actually have turned a corner. So you could say that like what we didn't want was reinforcement that what they were doing was working, but now what they're doing is working. So now it's okay that they sneak in.
It is kind of weird that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm of the impression that first off, 3 in the back is not the formation Quill wants to play. Like, no. Eric Quill's dream formation is not 3 in the back.
No.
And moving to 3 in the back was actually a change they made to help figure out how to maximize Lucho Acosta, correct?
Well, not quite. No, actually. The 3 at the back was he finally recognized they were bleeding goals. And he actually specifically called it a 5 in the back to reinforce that idea that this is about the defense. What happened is it coincided with the moving Acosta out of the lineup, which allowed them to bring on an extra center back and to make it be this 5 at the back. So like those, because what they were doing with Acosta was forcing this lopsided 4-3-1-2 thing. You remember that discussion all the time where they had 3 6s basically because they were trying to be behind Acosta and free him up. So once they could give up on that idea, which is when they dumped Acosta, then they could actually just bring on a center back and play this back 5. And essentially it's a 5-4-1 or, depending on however you want to, what game state you're looking at. I mean, I would refer to it as a base 3-5-2 at this point, the way Delgado plays it deep. But, it does defend with Delgado and Farrington going wide. So it does look 5-4-1 at times. Very defensive shape.
Yeah, I was under the impression that he had changed to this to help get Lucho in a more natural position because we had been talking all season about how this thing Quill was trying to do didn't really fit Lucho and never did from the beginning. And so those two things never really made sense when the deal was done to sign him in the first place and that Quill was going to have to make some changes. And so I thought moving to 3 in the back was always about trying to make Lucho work better. I didn't realize it was just to try to get him to stop bleeding goals, but that totally makes sense too. So, okay. Well, very good. Well, I thought the team continues to look significantly improved. Like this team has gone from one that was really rough to watch and not a lot of fun and barely could move the ball past midfield and seemingly focused on one thing and one thing only, which was get the ball to our former MLS MVP any way, shape, or form you can, to a team that actually you can kind of look and watch what they do and go, okay, there's a plan, there's an idea, there's a concept of what we want to do as a team, and it's working.
Yeah, if you look at FB Ref, you can specifically see that back 3 shift for the San Jose game, which is after the LAFC beatdown. That game, you remember, was when that San Jose game was when Lucho got benched the first time. He got sent back from California. So along those lines, you're right, Peter, like before that, from Lucho forward, there was a lot of standing around and watching Lucho. It's not all Lucho's fault. It's like it's as much his teammates' fault. In the sense that like there was a lot of times where it was like, get the ball to this MVP and what's he going to do? And we're all just sort of waiting for him to do something. And I mean, all of us, the media was, the players were, the coaches were, they finally moved beyond from that. And everybody else basically said, okay, well, I guess we're all going to have to play now. And it's working. It's working as a concept. Even some of the tweaks he made from the first game towards the middle of this run, putting Bernie at wing back, moving Shaq Moore now to the left side, which allows Bernie to be freer because then you can shift into a 4, moving Kayik to the outside, like lots of little things to solidify this defense. And you hate to mention too, that he has not had Martin Paz.
Yeah,
this is happening, which is weird, but Paz did play behind the 3 for looks like 3 games before, he got hurt, but it is a collective team change. The defense has dropped a goal a game less, and the offense has created more shots. I didn't do the math, but like this last game, they had 15 shots. That's high for this team, so you have to be pretty happy with the way things are working. You got Farrington and Musa on the same page. Musa's playing like this off-strikery wing kind of thing, which is what, by the way, we said he should be doing in the last offseason, which made Jesus Ferreira expendable, right? It was because of the way Musa was playing. But then Quill wasn't here for that. So he kind of had to go through that experiment and figure that out for himself, I guess. Delgado has matured as a replacement playmaker, if you will, for Lucho Acosta, although the numbers aren't quite there, but the overall box-to-box sort of play from him is pretty solid. So, it's a team effort. It's a team collective. Cappis has been an absolutely massive, huge part of the turnaround. Playing in the midfield.
What was the game that he debuted back in where Quill screwed him by throwing him out on the left wing?
They play wing back, yeah.
And he was just sucking July. It was summer wind. What game was that? Was that the St. Louis? No, it was a home.
Googling. Yeah, he came on at halftime of the NYCFC game and played basically like 45 minutes. A lot of it wing back, and he was like, it was here. That's the game that it all fell apart. And part of the reason why, people were like, boy, Cappis wasn't very good. If you remember, he came in at halftime, and then they fell apart in the second half after like Lucho came on. But I talked about it at the time. Like people were like, well, he didn't play very well. But what happened was New York City was killing him down that right side, down the right wing back. Remember Josh Torquato was getting spun?
Oh, yeah.
And Cappis stopped that. He stopped that bleeding down that wing. Now, he didn't do a lot other than that, but he stopped that. And then the next game, he subbed in again. And then after that, he was a starter. So he's made 5 starts now.
Yeah, so 5 of the 6 of this undefeated run has been him starting in the middle, and he's been really, really good. I've really enjoyed watching him again. Yeah.
Box-to-box player, he plays defense and offense, can link play, can get progressive passes and even progressive dribbles, gets the ball into the final third, does everything a linking box-to-box 8 guy's supposed to do, is always in the right spot, doesn't overextend himself. Really
does he look a little bit more like Dwight Schrute or Napoleon Dynamite? Which one? I can't figure out.
Napoleon Dynamite, I would have said.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it probably is leaning more.
Not quite. More athletic than that. Got the
certainly
long,
more
lanky.
athletic than either one of those guys. There's just something about his look that he reminds me of somebody. Maybe it is Napoleon Dynamite, which would be kind of kick-ass.
Yeah.
What are the odds he's dressed up as Napoleon Dynamite for Halloween at least once in his life?
Might have, yeah.
You might have to find that out.
Yeah, that'd make a great social media bid to give him the vote for Pedro dance or give him to do it.
Yeah, it is an interesting run because we've kind of, I think we shot the wheels off this season months ago, whatever. And because MLS is going to MLS on you, here they are with a chance to actually. Because I was trying to figure this out earlier, do they own their destiny at this point?
Because they have a game in hand, they have a fair amount of control. But if they win out, I don't think they're automatically in. They would have. Let's think about that for a second.
Because Salt Lake is the only team behind them that's even close with this on 30 games. Everybody else has already played a game around them. So maybe they do
because they have a game in hand.
Here.
But it's not likely that you're going to win 4 of those. Not when you have to go to Portland, go to LA, go to Vancouver. I mean, it's 3 or 4 on the road. Now, granted, they're a pretty good road team, but Vancouver on the road is going to be really difficult. Portland's hit a rough patch, so they really need to rebound. Who knows when it's going to happen, but they're going to be wanting to rebound. So that going all the way to the Pacific Northwest at Portland, I bet you that's one of those places where they have no wins or 1 win, just like Seattle. Probably never won there in any capacity, or maybe 1 game in 20 years or whatever. So
just think about this, though, because I'm going to dream big here, Mr. Carrick.
Okay.
With 4 games left in their season and sitting in 7th place, which means you're actually in the playoffs, Portland has at Vancouver, Dallas at home, at Seattle, and closes the season out with first place San Diego in town, who will probably be playing for the Shield at that point.
Well, Portland's got a game in hand too, and their game is this Wednesday. So, Dallas will look at the Saturday game, and depending on what Portland does this Wednesday, and think we really could put a nail in Portland's troubles if Portland drops their Wednesday game. You know what I mean?
If Portland was to lose Wednesday and Dallas was to face them, Dallas could actually pass them in the standings, assuming Colorado doesn't do something miraculous in that same amount of time. By the time Dallas and Portland play each other, if Dallas wins that game, that's a 6-point swing.
It is. Yeah, I don't think they would pass them even if they drop both, because Dallas doesn't play anybody before then. Spoil's not 42.
But Dallas is only 5 points behind. If there's a 6-point swing, Dallas would only. That's right. They would only have 3 points. Okay,
it's not literally a 6-point swing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But within reason,
Math.
it's actually, you can look at the schedules and play a lot of what's ifs, and you can figure out scenarios where Dallas can climb actually into the prime playoff spots. They could mathematically get to 7th.
Yeah.
But the chances that they're going to win all 4 games are not. Let's not forget MLS Road is still MLS Road. Dallas is a great road team, and they're just barely better than 500. They only have 4 wins on the road all season, and much as highs.
Yeah. So Colorado has Minnesota at home, at Salt Lake, and LAFC to close the season. We know what Dallas's path is. Houston, who is behind them, have at Nashville, San Diego, in Houston, and then have to go to Kansas City to close the season. Are the Quakes even within shouting distance? Yeah, they are. The Quakes have at San Diego, at Vancouver, and then Broccoli.
The game at hand for Dallas really helps because Houston could get to 42 quite easily because if they go 2-1, granted they got 2 road games, but it's at Nashville and at Sporting. And then they got San Diego at home. San Diego may be taking some time off at that point because they've clinched or whatever. So maybe you can get there's a good chance Houston can put a pretty good number up. So, but at the same time, Colorado's dropping, Portland's not having a great run right at the minute. So there's still work to be done. You can't assume it's in. 4 games is a lot of games. You got the Galaxy twice. When a team is as bad as the Galaxy, you have no idea what you're going to get. They can play a bunch of kids. The Puig could all of a sudden be back. I mean, who knows? And roaring, you just don't know what you're getting. They made a huge run in Leagues Cup. Now they have nothing to play for, so maybe they could surprise you, even though they look terrible.
Well, if we're shooting high, Portland is 1 win, 3 losses, and 2 draws in their last 6. Just FYI.
Yep. Going to Vancouver the last game of the year is not going to be easy. You better have what you need before that. So really, you have Portland and 2 LA twice is when you got to. And one of the LA games is the one that was moved. That was moved because of their Leagues Cup run. That's why Dallas has a game in hand. Do you remember?
Yeah. All right. Well, very good. I thought a couple of other notes from the game. Obviously, Urhoghide is the great silver lining of no matter how this season goes and ends. We're all just going to look back and think about what a great signing he turned out to be.
Yeah.
And hopefully he wants to stay here and doesn't get picked off by some European club for a whole bunch of dough.
That's the problem when you're Dallas is you want guys to be good, but you don't want them to be too good.
Yes.
Because you're not like LAFC that can afford to spend all this money. So, I mean, he dominated Navarro. I mean, it was that guy ended up with like 25 touches in 1 shot. Like, it's just a tremendous job by Urhoghide, and the whole team feeds off of it, and he's in the middle and he can help everybody too. So, Ibiaga and Shagmore look better when that guy's in between them. It's like, stop moving guys around. Just play your best dudes in their best spot. Funny how that works.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Just a phenomenal game by him. And the whole defense, really, collectively defense. It's not just the limited number of shots. I think they had held them to 9 and only 2 on target. But all but 2 of them were outside the box. You know what I mean? And so these zone 14 blasts are low percentage shots, particularly when you're going against a team that's bunkering 5-4-1, right? They're not breaking Dallas down right now. Defense is playing phenomenal.
So I want you to answer me this weird observation I have, and help me understand this. My observation is that Ramiro is wildly better at right wing back for this team than he was as a 6, and I don't understand that. Is that because he has less to do?
Yes. I think he also, really knows how to play it. He's also, no one's dribbling at him really with pace. And if he does, he can use the sideline and the inline to help himself. Also the temperatures are dropping. It's not as hot. So if you're an old guy who can't really run, that really helps. Like, he's able to go 90 minutes more.
Mm-hmm.
They're not asking him to play progression soccer. Like, he's not having to receive outlets, relieve pressure, turn and beat a guy and get a progressive pass. He's just over there on the outside, and he's, and he doesn't have to turn. He can just accept and go. You know what I mean? This is different body positions. I think he mostly played, from what I had Googled, he mostly had played wide in his career and wasn't really a central guy. It's just that he was super experienced and and a veteran and could six. I don't remember, like, if you look at his salary, you can always read a lot about what the team thinks the guy's supposed to be by what they pay him. Like, he gets paid like a backup. He's only on like 300 something, right? He's not paid like he's supposed to be a 34 game starter. So the idea that he was going to be starting in the middle, I think, only happened because people didn't do their jobs and Show got sick and all that crap before Cappis got here, and Kaik was a baby and it was just run all over. So like they just sort of had to stick him in there. I think this is more likely what his career with Dallas will be, is a fill-in starter on the right side in the back, fill in the middle. That's kind of what you really want him to be. I don't think the idea will be him to play wing back or outside back next year.
Well, with the shift, the other thing that is noticeable is just how much more mobile and rangy the midfield is between Cappis and Kaik.
Yeah. Cappis can eat a lot of ground. He doesn't look like he's running fast, but his legs are long and he reads the game really well. So he's super rangy. Probably if you ran them head to head, you would find that Kaik is faster and that Cappis doesn't really have a high top end speed, so like in a straight sprint, Kaik would cover more ground, but Cappis is reacting earlier and faster because of his experience. Like Kaik right at this point is all reactive. His defense is all just like, oh crap. And then he runs. So it's like, that's, that's not an ideal way to play in terms of like, are you going to win MLS Cup with that? So, I let's not get too carried away. I think if they had a really great six that Kaik wouldn't be starting. It's like, it's him. They need Ramiro at right wing back because they're out of right wing backs because they're using Shaq Moore because they're out of center backs. Using Shaq Moore. They're not out of center backs, but they're out of center backs that are quality. Shaq Moore as a fill-in center back is outplaying both Abubakar and Ibiaga. So like at this point, you're locking in Shaq Moore. I know I'm really surprised that he is, but which I think probably says more about those other two guys, honestly, in my opinion, than it does Shaq Moore.
Well, especially since Shaq Moore is what, like 5'9"?
Yeah.
He's not your typical center back height range. No.
Well, when you got Ibiaga and Abubakar, Ibiaga's pretty decent in the air, and Urhoghide are both really, really good in the air. Abubakar's pretty good in the air if he's in there. So whatever two other guys are in there with Shaq Moore do a pretty good job. And Kolodi for sure is pretty good at crosses, even though he's only 6 feet tall. And Jackson looks like he's decent at it as well. We have a small sample on him, but he looks like he's decent at it too. They're both better than Martin Paws at crosses, which is amazing.
And then moving forward in the team, in terms of performances, Delgado with the really awful turnover and then just standing there watching the team melt was not a good look.
He's so inconsistent because he had a great cross on the Cappis assist. He had like 5 or 6 progressive passes, like just, or shot creating actions, like a really good game, except that like his brain turned off like 6 or 7 times. And the one pass that led to their goal was particularly horrible. That's one of the worst dumb passes I've seen. And then he just stood there, as you say, and then he had like 4 or 5 other passes or turnovers that went to nobody or did nothing. And I'm like, if you could get that kid locked in the games he is locked in, looks terrific. And he makes you wonder, like, maybe we don't need a DP10. But then he has games that are just absolutely awful top to bottom. And this one, it was about 70-30 good to awful. So, just a young player still. Hopefully, eventually he'll completely lock in mentally and be good. But, sometimes it never happens.
He is a perfect example of the type of player that this club ends up with, where they're stuck between, all right, this is a guy that we are growing and we're trying to sell on and make a lot of money on, and is good and probably better than a lot of other U22s out there, but he's clearly not a guy for that position that is ever going to ride. You're going to ride to an MLS Cup run.
Yeah, I think you put him in the same class with honestly, Castillo, Juan Toja, Roberto Mina, these South American guys that are, 80, even 90% good, but they're not 100% good and they can't carry you. They're not going to do a Ferreira, they're not going to do even a Diaz. Like there's just this not 100% lock in where they can focus and be there and deliver game after game after game.
Yeah, I do wonder with him, at what point do you start taking an accounting of the balance on pros versus cons and where the team is at with him? Because I've yet to see him play this position and really grab the game by the scruff of the neck and really run the show like a Ferreira did, or Mauro Diaz did, or any other list of guys that this team has had play that position. He has weird little moments where you're like, wow, okay, there's something there, but then the pass and the stand there kind of thing happens, and you're just like, yeah, sometimes I feel like the cons outweigh the pros, but it's getting tighter.
You absolutely have to think about that, because the position he's playing is the quarterback. It's the point guard. It's the guy who's going to run the ship. And right now he's not running the ship. He's filling in, hey, he's the young guy here. Come take the wheel for a minute. He's delivering somewhat consistently, not putting together the kind of assist numbers. Like, really, Logan Farrington right now is the one who's actually doing all the assisting and creating more than Delgado. So you don't look at Delgado and go, man, it's been so good, we're not getting a DP. But remember, he's only getting paid $230,000 because of U22 signing. All the money was in the salary, not the salary cap, was in the buy, not the salary. So like, you want to keep, from a business standpoint, you want to keep showcasing him enough, getting him enough games that people are noticing him, watching him, and maybe somebody will take a flyer on him. But like, I don't think yet you're looking at a kid who's ready to be handed the keys to the castle and be told, like, anointed, like, you're the guy. Mm-hmm. I think you have to look at him as like, he's a great 5 to 10 game starter, 15 to 20 games off the bench kind of guy, probably. Like, I would think you'd still want, like, if you're thinking in terms of next season, you still have to look at that spot as like, that's where like a DP money can really just take us to the whole next level at that spot.
Yeah. Speaking of Logan Farrington, he's playing so well, I will not make fun of him for his pencil thin porn mustache, which I really want to, but I won't, because he's playing well and he deserves to wear whatever facial hair he chooses.
Right.
I also enjoyed the fact that he looked really pissed about getting subbed out.
He did. And I noticed that at the end of the game, Quill went over and put an arm around him and was like talking and pointing, and Farrington was like nodding. Okay, I get it. I think I 100% think that that sub is only about forcing Anderson Julio into the game, because I said that this is my 3 things. Anderson Julio is not on the same page as everybody else.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about this.
Yeah, he was hurt when they transitioned to the new team, and he's been hurt. He's trying to come back. The new shape, the new tactics, like he's not on board with everybody else because he wasn't there when they worked it out and evolved it. So like, he's now trying to come in and play in a shape that doesn't fit his game. But they need him. They need a guy because he's dangerous. They need to get him on the same page. You saw the last 30 minutes, the guy had struggled to link up with anybody. It was a mess. And Julio's pissed. He's throwing his arms around. He's not mad at somebody else. He's clearly frustrated.
Oh, I think he was pretty pissed at Petter Musa for not squaring that ball.
Oh, well, that one particular play. But he was also very,
because I was mad at Petter Musa for not squaring the ball.
To be fair,
Mr. Musa, if you are going to be oh so bold is to not pass the ball to the guy literally wide open with nothing but open net, and you're going to try to squeeze it in past you better effing score, sir.
Yes. Well, Musa played a spectacularly good game, though. It's hard to knock him for not passing that. But at the same time, like, we're trying to get Anderson Julio integrated. Let's pass that ball to him. Julio was just completely disconnected from everybody and couldn't link up, couldn't find the game. So I'm very confident that that's what Quill's doing, as he's forcing that action to try and get, because he needs more of the scoring threats. It can't just be Musa and Farrington. You got to be able to go somewhere. You got to have a guy, if nothing else, you got to have a guy off the bench who can help you. So I think that's what he was explaining to him. Like, hey man, I got to get Anderson involved. You played amazing. Don't worry about it.
And lastly, I think we should spend a few minutes just kind of revisiting the crazy rebirth of Bernie Kamungo, who I will raise my hand and admit I had written that poor kid off a while ago. I just thought, great story, but maybe not MLS quality. And I'm still not 100% sold on Bernie, but man, Quill has gotten so much more out of him. And the shocking part of it is that he's playing a position. I didn't Nico try to get him to play essentially this same position on the right-hand side at the beginning of last season, and he was awful at it?
He tried. I don't remember what side it was on. If it was on the right, that might explain a lot, because Bernie can't handle the right in any capacity for some reason. He can only play on the left. But the kid's been phenomenal. You know, he's defending one-on-one really well. Team defense needs some work, but one-on-one defense is still really good. In this game, he had 7 shot creating actions and 10 progressive passes, 5 progressive carries, and he's 3 for 4 in take-ons. That is a spectacular line. 16 progressive receptions. I mean, he's doing everything a wingback should do, getting up and down the field. I think that why he's excelling in that position so well is something that Quill told him about. Don't think of it as playing defense. Think of it as playing wing from deep around the field. And so he basically is using the same mentality where he's like, he relishes running at people, and playing from deep like that lets him run at people with a great amount of freedom. And it's really working, you know, like right now. Like, is that the long-term answer for Bernie? Man, I don't know, because I'm pretty sure that a back 3 isn't the long-term plan from Quill. So, you know, I think this is a short-term plan, and it's working right now. So you go with it. And if you can build Bernie's confidence by playing him this way, because from further deep, you can see the game in front of you more. You can read it more in advance. You can see what's in front of you, and you can set it up. You can attack it easier. So, you know, eventually he's got to move back up to the field to a wing position, and it'll be harder, but maybe you can get him confident and playing well by the time you do that next year.
So, Buzz, here we sit. And I'm pretty sure several weeks ago, the 3 of us all made predictions as to whether or not this team was going to make the playoffs. And I feel pretty confident we all universally agreed that the odds of them doing it were, I don't even think it was the odds. I think we all just said, no, they're not. They're not going to do it. 4 games out, they're actually sitting in a play-in spot. Whether you want to call that playoff or not is up to you. Yeah. Now, the one thing, part of the reason why I'm starting to think that there's something going on here is the fact that Petr Musa is playing so well, and they're getting the ball to him, and he's creating opportunities, and he's converting opportunities. But we also saw that he has been put on the standby list for his national team during the international window, which means he would miss one game, that one of the 2 LA games.
I believe that's correct. If he gets called up, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And it's probably that reschedule game, isn't it?
Probably. I didn't dig into the numbers because I think it's likely that he'll get called. But
I think if he misses it, it's the reschedule game that's at LA. Probably is what it is. So we all just need to keep our fingers crossed that he doesn't, because they're going to need him for these final 4 games, almost certainly, because I can't imagine them having to go on the road or play any game without his goal scoring talents. So,
I mean, he's got 16 and the next best person has 5. So it's like, you know, it's a big drop off if he's out. Yeah.
If I told you before the season started, Buzz, that Petr Musa would lead this club with 16 goals, you would have predicted they finish where in the standings?
Basically right where they are, actually, because that was kind of my expectation, was that Lucho would feed him and he would have 16 goals. The defense has been the problem, not the offense.
See, I was going to say, if I had asked you, if I had just told you Petr Musa was going to end with 16, where would you predict? And then I was going to throw in second place is 5.
Yeah.
And then tell me.
That's often how it goes. I mean, you know, you usually have 3 or 4 guys that are 5, 6, 7. And then the good seasons are when one guy has 15, 16, 18.
Yeah. All right.
That's Petr Musa's Petr Musa. You know, finding someone that can score more than 10 goals. There have been multiple seasons in this club's history where the leading scorer had 7 goals.
So, with 4 games left to go, a game in hand over many of the people around them, and since Dan doesn't like to make predictions anyway, it's probably a blessing he's not here. Buzz, is Dallas going to make the playoffs?
Here's the thing. Like, if you looked at the greater picture of the whole season, you would say this team is trash and there's no business that it belongs in the playoffs.
Right.
But if you only look at the last 6 games, you'd say this team is great and it deserves a spot in the playoffs. So I think based on the current form, like when we first talked about this idea, will they make the playoffs? We were like, it's a long shot, because they needed to get 42 and they only had like 21 and they had a third of the season left. We were like, I was like, they have to get more points than they have now in a third of the games left in the season. That's going to be an impossible task. And sure enough, they've pretty much done it. So with 4 games to play, they only need like 6 more points basically to get. I still think that number is 42. If you get 42 or more, I think you're going to be in. So they only need 6 basically, you know, maybe a 7, but they need 2 wins out of 4. And I think they're in for sure. And some of those other teams are playing really bad. So yeah, I think if you're counting as 8 and 9 as the playoffs, which I do for the purposes of this discussion, I think they're going to now think they're going to make it based on the way they're playing.
Are we going to debate over whether play-in is playoffs?
No, because it doesn't matter for this discussion. Like, what are you asking is like, are they in or not? Do they keep playing or not? Right? I'm like, we're discussing the 8 and 9 position. If you mean, are they going to make 7th? Then I'm going to say no, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the 8 and 9, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unless you mean 7th, you tell me if that's what you mean.
And at this point, that means they have to go to Colorado. And we know what happens with Dallas plays Colorado in the playoffs.
Yeah, but I don't think Colorado's going to finish. Like, I think they may miss.
What if it's Dallas and Houston in the play-in game?
Yeah, I think it's more likely to be Dallas versus Houston, which brings, if you're into this kind of thing, that brings El Capitan back into play, and Dallas could actually win it if they win that game.
That thing is still in one piece.
So, well, only barely. Like, it's duct taped together. Yeah.
Good Lord. Do you really?
How fun would that be? Right? If you got 8-9 Houston, Dallas,
that would be a great game. That would be a ton of fun. Yeah, it would. That would be a good way.
Because you definitely don't want Colorado in the playoffs.
No,
Colorado.
That's the kiss of death.
It's always beats Dallas in the playoffs.
Yes,
that's their playoff bogey team. Regular season, Dallas wins. Playoffs, Dallas loses. Against Colorado every time.
Yeah, that would be interesting. All right. Well, very good. Well, it was fun. It was a fun game. I thought, it's fascinating how this season has kind of turned, and credit to Eric Quill. I mean, if anybody's wondering if Quill's going to be the manager of this club next season, I think there's no question that he's.
Oh, no question now.
Yeah, I think that he, once they kind of got rid of his problem, he figured out how to fix things.
Remember, we were tracking like worst team ever stats, right?
Yes,
for like 2/3 of the season. And now for him to be like, if you get rid of this guy, then I will turn around. He has.
Look, I think I still feel like I've been saying this for a while, that this has been one of the more godforsaken seasons in this club's history.
Yeah.
And I still am. I got 1,000 questions about playing in this weird stadium project and the long-term impact it is having on the level of attention anybody is paying to going. I mean, the team is in this really good run. They're fighting back for a playoff spot. And other than the 7,000 or 8,000, 10,000 people that are showing up on a game day, but does anybody beyond that really care?
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the local media isn't paying attention at all to this club.
None.
And I think I think local soccer fans are more distracted by other things than what's going on. And I do think there's a small core of diehards that are really into it. Many of them are in your Discord. Some of them are not. Yep. I don't want to discount them, but they may go into the playoffs and the vast majority of the sports audience in this marketplace will have no idea that it happened because this season has just gone under the radar so much.
I mean, when you think about it, Quill has done this turnaround. I wrote about this the other day. He's got one DP.
Yes.
And his other DP was one of the great cataclysmic DP disasters of all time here. He's got one of his U22 initiatives is doing anything at all. Right. Half of his TAM players are mediocre nothings. Like he's literally, none of the homegrowns are doing anything yet. The best one is Norris. He's literally winning with a bunch of dudes. Remember that whole discussion?
Yes. Yeah. And in fact, it was funny because when the league did that graphic, that PDF this week that kind of graphically showed how every team was constructed, it was interesting to me that Dallas is the only club in the league other than Toronto with only one DP.
It's amazing.
And they're the only one that only has one DP and kind of two functioning U22s, with the exception being Toronto, which awfully only has 1 and 1. Like it's so bad. Yeah. And so much money has been spent for so nothing. And
add in that you got $1 million players like Paxton and Leggett, who are basically hardly doing anything or nothing.
Yeah. It's full credit to Quill because you've made a really good point. If you have not read Buzz's article, I forgot what you called it, playing with an empty deck or something like that, or a bad hand, half a deck or whatever. Yeah. Go read it because you really do a good job of clarifying and spelling out how just ridiculous this run has been considering the parts. It actually kind of goes back to the days where we used to talk about how, and Steve Davis was the one that was really into this whole premise that Poppy was really good at making lemonade out of lemons.
Yeah.
And this really feels as close to a Poppy-like kind of situation. I'm not saying the teams or the styles are the same or anything like that, but just this last kind of 7-8 game run, even with the one loss, is that, getting his hands in control of this team, meaning getting Lucho out of the way and letting him actually be the manager and not having to subserve the angry Argentinian, has made a big difference in this thing. And I wish more people knew about it.
Yeah. I remember Quill telling me that two of the bigger influences before, when he was here at North Texas on him as a coach, were Colin Clark, who he played for, and then Oscar, who he played with, and then was a coach too, so Clark too was a guy like Oscar who got, bunch of dudes to perform. Colin Clark didn't have big old, huge, fancy, crazy name DPs either. No. He had Simo Valkaris, and guys like that he was gluing together and making a first place wire-to-wire team. Oscar, same thing. So again, though, players too, the players have done it. The players that are not getting paid crazy amounts of money, most of whom are just, a couple of TAMs, and obviously Petter Musa is a huge part of it, but guys are performing for Quill, and they've put together this team and they've figured out how to make it. Took Quill 2/3 of the season, but finally getting rid of Acosta allowed him to gave him the ability to figure out how in the world does this team stop allowing so many damn goals and yet still be able to attack at all. So, he's done that. And, is it ideal? No. Is it the way that he wants to play? No. Is it the way fans want to play? I mean, it can be really boring watching a 5-4-1, but if the goal is to make the playoffs, he's given himself every chance possible with a bunch of guys he didn't pick, So once they let him start picking the ingredients, getting Cappis in here, putting guys where he wanted to put them, getting rid of a couple guys he didn't want. I mean, it's not just Acosta they got rid of. They got rid of about 4 or 5 guys, but Acosta's the one that you really have to pay attention to,
So Dallas goes to Portland next. Now, as you said, Portland's got a game on Wednesday. I just want to throw out there that I'm looking through the records. Dallas's recent run at Portland, most recently was the 0-0 draw last October. Prior to that, it was losing to Portland 1-0 in Oregon. And prior to that was another draw. And prior to that, dating back to 2021, is a 1-0 loss. So Dallas has not won in Portland since. Has Dallas ever?
I mean, is it ever? I think it may be never.
Hold on.
I know they have one win in Seattle, and it was a playoff game. It's either one or it's never.
I'm rolling way back.
Well, the internet says they have one win.
Stick with me here. Let me look.
In Portland.
That is correct. February 20th, 2023. There it is. Now that says it's a club friendly though. That's not a league game.
Okay. Well, obviously the Google AI could be very confused by a friendly.
Yeah. I think in league games, Buzz, let's see, 3-2 Portland win, 1-1 the friendly where they won that game, 1-0 Portland, 2-1 Portland, 2-2, 3-1, 3-1. Here it is. 3-1 at Portland on April 13th, 2016. There it is.
There you go.
There's your one win.
Funny side note, as I typed in, has Dallas ever won, it autofilled to the MLS Cup. And I was like, I could tell you this right.
No.
That's a big mandatory 10-4.
All right. Before we go, so who do you think's starting in Portland next weekend?
The exact same team. I mean, you would not change it when you're on a roll like this. I mean, Quill admitted that he tossed and turned and was up all night thinking about Clody versus Jackson. But man, Jackson's performing and the team's performing, so don't touch it. Leave it alone. Let it roll. Just keep going.
All right. Do you force Anderson Julio in? Do you think Quill does?
Into the game?
No, not to start. As a sub, in the same way you did here.
Oh yeah,
even if Logan is having another good game.
Yes, because who else on this team can score?
Logan,
other than Logan and Musa. Yeah, other than those two guys.
Well, why don't you sub somebody else out and let Logan, Musa, and Mr. Anderson Julio?
Well, because Anderson Julio can't replace Delgado or Kamungo.
Okay,
you have to change the whole team to do that.
Yeah. All right. So there you go. You can watch that thing on the Apple TV. Go burn.
Don't miss the question at the top.
Question at the Discord question. Yes, sorry. From the Discord. Who is it from? Do you know who asked the question?
Off the top of my head, no.
Okay. The question is Quill signing Christian Cappis similar to Shellis Heineman signing Daniel Hernandez?
Well, in some ways, it's very, very similar, probably about 70% similar in the sense that coaches like to have in the locker room for sure their guy who 100% believes in them and is on board with them, will trumpet their messages on what they want the team to talk about and do. They want that guy on the field, particularly in the middle of the field, which Cappis understands how the guy wants to play, understands the directions, is a leader. Cappis is a leader. But however, Christian Cappis and Daniel Hernandez are very, very different people.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Daniel Hernandez, if you don't know, is Roy Kent. He is the guy that will smash the other team and smash his own team. We just a joke about Daniel would grab the game by the scruff of the neck. He would grab his own players by the scruff of the neck and shake them like what are you doing? He is incredibly hard and demonstrative, and literally like Roy Kent is the closest person I've ever seen to Daniel Hernandez. Daniel Hernandez was a pure 6, smashed people, could play a little bit like center back, played in Mexico, could play nasty. Christian Cappis is not nasty. Christian Cappis is not that kind of player. Christian Cappis is a really good player, and I think he's got good leadership qualities in terms of leading by example, good talking leadership qualities, but he is not a get in your face and point my finger at you.
Yeah.
It's not where Dan Hernandez would get in the coach's face and point his finger and be like, what are you doing? Chris, so very, very similar in the sense of he's Quill's guy and he's going to help galvanize the team and get it going the way Quill wants it to go, but very different. You've never met or seen Daniel Hernandez. That is a different cat, man.
Yeah, the only player that I think this club has ever had that you'd be more frightened by was Leonel Alvarez.
Yeah, those are the most similar two guys in the history of those two guys.
And ironically, they play the same position. Leonel Alvarez was just a frightening human being, period, whether he was on the field or off of it. And Danny was similar in that way.
Yeah, nobody's in the locker room. Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody's afraid of Christian Cappis.
No.
Super delightful guy. Apparently does a really good Napoleon Dynamite impersonation.
That's what I hear. Yeah. It's fabulous.
But that's an interesting question. So thank you for the question from the Discord. If you want to join Buzz's Discord for whatever meager amount of money he requests for such entry, we'll read your questions here on Third Degree, the podcast. All right. So as I said, Dallas at Portland this weekend. Go Burn. Let's turn our focus to ye old Dallas Trinity, who are on their lengthy road trip, this time at Tampa Bay, and they get the 1-1 draw and remain in first place.
Yeah, 2 points clear. This game should have been 4-1. It reminded me very much of the beginning of last season when they were struggling to get the ball in the net. They had 2 players miss literally point blank shots from 2 feet out. Goalie's gone. They're standing in front of the net 2 feet away, and they managed to somehow kick the ball past the goal or head the ball past the goal. Just ridiculously egregious misses that if he was in a rec league, you'd laugh at that guy for years over that miss. They did 2 of those, and they just really struggled to get the ball in the back of the net. So, there you can see in the formations and the choices they're making, Petrocelli is looking for answers, looking for what works minus Lexi Missimo. He's still missing his talismanic playmaker. So he's trying people in the middle. This game, he rested some of his pace on the outside, which I think is a mistake. Abubago on the left is great, but Bolt on the right can run past everybody in the league. And he rested her or didn't start her. And I think that makes them lopsided because they really need to be able to set people back on their heels to get, some freedom underneath to try and set up Allie Thornton. So I don't love that choice. But, he's moving pieces around, trying to figure it out. And while he's doing that, they keep getting results, wins and ties. They have 1 loss still. So in first place, things are going really well. I still know a timeline. We think it maybe is going to be the end of October before Missimo comes back.
I was going to ask. I seem to ask this question every week. I was wondering if there had been any more communication about what's going on with him.
They don't like to really talk about that so much. So I don't know whether they're worried or whether they're just Petrocelli's got a bit of this, like coaches are, where they don't want to tell anybody anything ever. I'm like, it's ridiculous. It's a pro game. You got to tell people stuff. So they're not putting numbers on jerseys in preseason. It's like, come on, do you want to get publicity or not? But that's a whole different. We beat that to death in preseason. So now it's just a case of, I guess they want to protect Miss Samoa in case it doesn't go well. But last I heard was, I sort of got some hints that maybe end of October is their current soft expectation. So, but look, they're in first place without her. They got a good team. They got some good talent. I think it's a shame that Cameron Lancaster's not getting as many starts, because she's the one other person that I think consistently can score other than Thornton. So I think I'd like to see her out there, but Chris is trying to find some other things, I guess. So
they've got the game at Lexington coming up on Friday, which is the fourth of their fifth game road set. And then the other thing, did I see Dan in our group chat mention that they've not done a very good job of promoting this, but if you buy a ticket to their Classico friendly, that actually acts as your cost of entry into the state fair as well.
Yeah, we just found that out this week.
That's a great deal, by the way.
Yeah, that's a really nice perk that they should be trumpeting a lot more, that your ticket to that game comes with tickets admission to the state fair. Because what's that, like $20 now to get into the fair? It's not nothing.
Who knows?
It's parking's still the thing, but maybe there's a parking option too for Trinity. I haven't looked into that part.
Take the train. Really. It stops right there.
Yeah, it does. But what a fun game that'll be down there with that atmosphere, and hopefully they'll get a good turnout and get people from the fair itself. Like, come in here, sell tickets. So they should be out there for $5, for my opinion, out there in the midway. Just giving them out like candy. You got 80,000 seat stadium. Just hand them out to everybody.
I'm sorry, Buzz. It's 92,500.
My bad. Sorry, Reno numbers. Yeah.
Actually, I was going to remind me to mention the Cotton Bowl thing with all the other stuff that's happened with the Cotton Bowl in the last few days. I want to reflect on it. I want to correct something I've been saying for a while.
Okay, cool. Don't forget to mention that.
All right. Well, let me forget to mention that. All right. So go. Oh, by the way, that was the other one. I saw somebody refer to them as the Golden Girls, and I kind of dig that.
That's a great name. Yeah. I think maybe the president of their supporters club came up with that. I don't want to say is the wrong name. But I have it written down somewhere.
Okay.
Obviously it's a reference to, of course, the great show, but the fact that they wear gold jerseys on the road. So the Golden Girls is a great nickname. And so it was in our piece. The guy that wrote, Dennis, who writes for us on the Trinity, put that in there. And I told him, I said, oh, that's a great nickname. And, that's terrific.
And not a reference to being postmenopausal, boomers. Or anything like that.
Obviously the show is the marquee, but it's a great name with the gold uniforms. And, when you're looking for nicknames of fun stuff for the team and things to be organic, that one's developed organically and some fans were saying it. So I thought it was fantastic.
Baby Byrne got a big road win against Minnesota United Dose.
Yeah, Minnesota's a pretty solid team, but to win on the road and they have 10 foreign players signed, some more veteran kind of players. None of them are playing. So I'm assuming they're all hurt because they're not on the bench either. And they don't do injury reports. So we're just left guessing. But they basically started almost entire kids, all kids, or maybe one draft pick. And otherwise it was all academy guys. So it's Sarver. Sarver's not an academy guy, but he's a draft pick. So it was awesome. Great goal by Caleb Swan, a scrappy goal. Jaden Contreras had an absolute banger of a goal from 30 yards out. Just spectacular to win it. So that jumped them. The West is so tight. They jumped from 9th to 6th. So they have 2 games left versus RSL this weekend and at LAFC. So they're in a good spot. I think they should be able to get some of because both those teams I think are below them. So they can close it out and get in the playoffs.
It just dawned on me. You mentioned Swan's scoring in this game.
Yep.
And his sister now is playing for Trinity.
Caroline, yep.
Are Caroline and Caleb our very first DFW siblings both playing pro soccer at the same time? Don't even mention the fact they're both playing for Dallas clubs or DFW area clubs, which is really cool. But I don't think I can think of another brother-sister duo both playing pro, at least not unless there's a duo that we're playing, like one of them playing in Iceland and the other one playing in, Andorra or something like that.
I can't think of any professional men's players from the DFW area whose sisters have played at a high level. I don't remember any. Off the top of my head, I'm not thinking of any. I think you might be right.
Yeah.
Perhaps there's a silly technicality that Caroline Swan's an academy player, so she's an academy free player. She's not under pro contract, but she's already made her debut. So yeah, I mean that counts.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that's probably the case.
That's kind of cool, actually.
It's very cool.
Yeah,
we'll have to let people data mine that one for us. People let us know if we're wrong about that, but I don't remember anybody else having a sister that played at even close to a high level.
Well, currently,
I'll tell you who's close. The closest is Antonio and Nico Carrera. Their sister was a first-team All-State high school soccer player. So I don't remember her first name. I apologize. But that was probably the closest, but that's not pro. She wasn't pro.
Okay, so the only one that I would think is close, and I don't know how this would qualify, is Hannah Weish, who was captain at Texas. She started at Auburn, transferred to Texas, and played at Texas her last 2 seasons. She was their captain. She is now playing in the League of Ireland, and they just lost out in the Europa League. And her younger brother, Hagen, was at North Carolina, but now is playing at Oral Roberts, but was playing at Tulsa for that Tulsa semi-pro team. I don't think that fully counts. Doesn't count. But Hagen's good enough. He may find his way to a USL 1 team or something like that.
Yeah, that would count.
So that would be another brother-sister duo, both playing pro at the same time.
We'll give the nod to Caroline and Caleb Swan.
Yeah.
For right now. Yeah.
Interesting. Cool stuff. All right, Texoma.
Boy, yeah. They lost 2-1 to the worst team in the league, Westchester. Yeah. Granted, it's on the road, but not good. They have 5 games left, and only 2 of them are at home. And they're sitting pretty deep. They missed a PK, which is unfortunate. Reed Valentine scored their goal, who's the son of the 80s owner, Matt Valentine. But basically what's happened is their defense has gone to pieces. They've let in 13 goals in the last 4 games. That is a staggering amount of goals. That's 3 goals a game, every game or more, 3 point something. So that's basically what's happened with them. They're falling apart and it's going the wrong way. And they're now way out of the playoff picture. And, they would have to go on a really remarkable run that I don't see in the cards for them to. I mean, I haven't done the math, but they probably would have to win out in order to get in at this point, which is not very optimistic. Certainly for a first-year team, they started really poorly. If they'd have had their full contingent from the get-go, they had a lot of visa problems, as everybody did.
Right.
But that really hurt them starting out of the gate. They clearly turned it around a third of the way through the year and had a great middle third of the season. But then the pieces have started falling apart. And, I think there'll be a relatively heavy amount of turnover there in players, maybe, half the players perhaps. Certainly some stuff in the front office and coaching levels, I would imagine too. So Adrian Forbes will be back, I'm sure, but he might make some changes on the whole organization.
All right. Well, we're wishing the bird the best.
Redbirds.
Redbirds. Do we have, is there any more word about the mystery team?
No. Okay. I mean, since I talked to the owner, that's it. I mean, that whole thing has kind of cooled off. All the elements of the Salina USL thing that were posted are all gone. It's all been deleted. It's all gone. So whatever it was has closed shop. So we'll find out this offseason, I guess.
Well, that's the fastest flame out of a new team in the history of soccer and DFW.
The Phoenix Rising and the Texas branch. It came from nowhere and went to nowhere in a hurry. Yeah.
Oh, we don't have anything new about Atletico Dallas. Nothing happening with them.
I mean, they're taking deposits on their season tickets for 2027. So get in on that if you want.
I guess. Yeah. Okay. So this is going to lead me into the conversation about the Cotton Bowl that I asked you about earlier.
Right.
And if you've been paying attention or live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, you know that in the last week, they have finally unveiled all of the improvements that the city of Dallas has made, and the $120 million or $40 million, whatever the number is, it's an insane number of amount of what they've done to try to modify and make the Cotton Bowl an actual living thing that they can use on a regular basis. And a lot of it is dealing with no more ramps. They've got escalators and way more bathrooms than they used to have, and concessions and wider concourses, and some suites that they didn't have previously with cushy seats and stuff like that in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was always talking about the fact that it's, as 2 new professional teams move into this and make it their home, you and I and other people that were there back in the 90s when the Burn were trying to do this. And we were thinking about, man, we were lucky if we had 15,000 people in that joint on any given game night or game day.
Yeah.
And it was 75,000 seats. And now here it is at 92,500. Well, Buzz, I stand corrected, because the man that knows it all from back at that time, Andy Swift, corrected me. The Cotton Bowl back in 96 was not 75,000 seats. It was 65,000 seats.
Wow.
It was. So if you were a longtime Burn fan going to the Cotton Bowl back in 96, 97, 98, and you thought, wow, this place was a cavern for even when you had more than 15,000 people, now it's almost 30,000 seats more and that much bigger for USL teams trying to apply their trade in that place.
Yeah. If you've gone to a Trinity game, or if you've gone to a North Texas game at Choctaw, you're sitting in these gigantic, humongous cavernous stadiums with hardly any other people. It's really weird.
Like Choctaw's what, 47,000?
Yeah, maybe 50 standing room. Like since they changed the layout for XFL.
Yeah.
I don't, certainly the XFL stands they put in for football block where a bunch of old seats were. I have no idea what it is now. It's a gigantic, huge baseball stadium. That's what it is. It fits a soccer field better, but it's still, it's not appropriate, so it is weird, but at some point you just have to understand that what is available is what is available. Is that better than like a high school field? Well, yeah, absolutely it is. But but you're right. They're going to have a tall task creating great game day atmosphere there. When Trinity gets 5,000 in there, which is not every game, but when they have, it's raucous enough. It's kind of weird because up until now, everybody's been on the north side and not the south side. And I think that may be going to flip, or maybe they'll be on both. It actually helps when everybody's on one side together, because then you can kind of feel people around you a little bit. So I don't know what it's going to be like for Trinity, but even AD, like if you've been there with 10, 12, 15, 17,000 people in there, it still feels empty.
Oh yeah.
I remember going to not a Chiefs game, a Sporting Kansas City game back when they were playing in Arrowhead. And I was at a game, I was like, this crowd sucks. There's nobody here. And they announced like 25,000, but the stadium is so huge. You're like, there's nobody here. That's going to be a battle.
Well, I mean, any of the Dallas Cup opening weekend games that got played there, there's a good 15, 17. And what is the number of those games? It's about 15, 16,000 people that show up for those games, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they've even had more than that. When they bring in all the teams, they might have gotten over 20 a couple times.
But it still feels really empty.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. And that's why I'm fascinated. I think all of both, it feels like both of these teams have an opportunity to try to maximize that facility. I know the city's trying to do it, and I hope between them and the city, they figure out a way to make it an entertaining place to go for a day out.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this. It almost feels like it would make sense for Dallas Trinity and Atletico to work out a deal where they play on the same day, back to back. One weekend Trinity plays first and Atletico's the follow-up game, and the next time it's flipped, and they make it a destination for people to go spend the day and watch professional soccer at the Fair Park grounds. I can
see the complications in that about revenue split, but
sure.
At the end of the day, it's what's going to come down to is like, what does it cost those teams to play there? Like, do they work out a good deal? Because at the
probably
end of the day,
not much.
Yeah. For those two teams to survive, just like in the early days of MLS, the business model really matters. Revenue control, cost control. Like both of those teams are going to need that. So like if they're getting a great deal, the deal's got to be better than all the other options, which it probably will be because the city wants people to use that place, use that facility. And the other side of the coin is like a stadium that would work for those teams. They're different prices, but if Atletico's going the USL 1 and Super League probably needs something like 10
USLC.
No, they are starting USLC. If they're going a USL 1 eventually, the numbers change, right? USLC is 10,000 seats. USL 1 is 15. right?
USL 1 is the league down. You're thinking of USLP.
I'm
Premier.
sorry.
Yes.
Yes, I'm meaning Premier, and I'm saying 1.
Right. Yeah, I know what you meant.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they're going to the higher level, they need more seats, right? You're talking about a stadium that probably costs $200 million. So, like, Valentine and Matt and Sam are not
that rich,
hunt rich.
Yeah,
right. They don't have that kind of money. So, at the end of the day, at least I don't think they are. At the end of the day, like, they got to work with the city, whether it's Dallas or Garland or whoever it is. Because remember, what they were going to do was the thing in Garland, $70 million stadium that held like 10,000 people. Well, that's out of the picture now. That could have worked for Trinity, still could work for Trinity, but like, how is Trinity going to find that money or find the city to work with them when the Atletico is now taking some of the steam and the Atletico needs that money? Like, they're going to have to work together. And it may be that the city's just going to be like, you got to sustain it and prove you can do it before we're going to drop $250 million on a stadium for you guys, one or the other or both. They're going to have to prove some points, earn some points with the city before they give them a sweetheart deal for a while, but you got to get some bodies in there, get some attention, or you're not going to get that kind of stadium.
We shall see. Local team draw for Open Cup qualifying. Weren't there games this past weekend?
Yeah, we did the results on the podcast before.
Okay.
Denton beat.
Oh, that's right. There's a couple teams that have got a bye, so the draw
Denton
is for
6-1. So the other one won 3-1. Anyway, so Denton has been drawn at Tulsa Athletics, so they got to go up to Tulsa. That game is October 11th. A team that had a bye called Master Yoga, I don't know what it is. They're on the road in San Antonio against a team called 210 FC. That's on October 12th. And then 2 other teams were drawn together. Strikers DFW faces the confusing Dallas Atletico. That game has not been determined yet because the problem for all 4 of these teams was venue. Because the Open Cup has venue rules. You got to meet certain standards. So, like, that game is not yet scheduled while they try and work out where it's going to be. I'm not even sure which team is the home team. But those 2 teams are playing each other, and they're probably trying to figure out what in the world stadium it's going to be in. So maybe Old Panther Field will be back in the mix.
Gee, that seems like a really good opportunity for Dan Hunt to show his good-natured side and pro soccer business acumen and willing to do good for the community and say, why don't you come play at the Dr. Pink Field or inside our soccer stadium? Or it just seems like that would make a lot of sense.
Well, next year, put Mansfield. Be perfect.
Yeah, play in Mansfield.
Let them borrow that field for.
I mean, I don't know what US Open Cup's rules are. Like, I don't know if Dr. Pink qualifies. Maybe it doesn't. Or would one of those fields at the Toyota Soccer Center qualify?
Richland's soccer field does.
Yeah, because we've watched a game there. Yeah,
but you have been there. Yeah. So that kind of stadium. It doesn't have to be monumental, but it has to be of a certain standard. So
yeah, interesting.
And none of those teams own their own complex, so they got to find one, and it's got to be available, and they got to be able to rent it and get, control of it, that kind of thing. So,
all right, very good,
awesome.
Anything else, sir? Oh, the burn kits looked kick-ass again this weekend.
Oh my God, they're so good. Can we just make that the primary kit next year? Just forget.
Is that a pairing of the best and the worst kit currently in Major League Soccer? That Colorado game?
Close. Oh, it's close. Yeah,
that Colorado kit is bad.
That
is just unattractive in so many ways. So kind of bland and like just try not hard at all.
The burn kit is so good that it underlines how mediocre the burn secondary is currently.
Yes.
And even their primary is kind of mid compared to how great this burn kit is.
I was watching the game and I was listening to Ryan and Steve do commentary. And Ryan, I think Ryan deserves a big prop here because Ryan pointed out that because Steve was like, man, I just don't like seeing a Dallas goalkeeper wear orange, which is something that annoys all of us. Like, it's stupid that anybody in Dallas is wearing anything orange. Ryan points out that that's what everybody's third kit, goalkeeper kit is the orange.
Oh, is it?
He says that's universal across the league, and so nobody escapes it. I would assume other than, no, Houston hasn't gotten theirs yet, have they?
That makes sense because everybody has uniform keeper kits across the league and every on all the versions of the keeper kit. That's always true.
Right.
So that's a good point.
Yeah.
That makes complete sense. I just hadn't occurred to me.
So thank you, Ryan, for educating us on that.
We're not too old not to be educated.
Sticky point. Yeah. We're not, I mean, we're old dogs.
Yeah. But we're educatable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just send us a note.
Sure.
We learned.
Or say it on the broadcast.
Say it on the broadcast. Yeah, we listen. Yeah.
Sometimes. Very good.
I'd love to get a note now and then. That'd be nice.
All right, I got nothing else. You got anything else, Buzz?
No, that's it, man.
All right. Happy birthday to our very own Dan Crooke. I don't know how old he's turning. I don't think it's 50. And I apologize for Buzz right off the bat for insinuating that maybe he's almost as old as we are, because it's not even close. I hope he has a wonderful and spectacular and fruitful birthday later this week. Buzz, thank you, sir.
Hey, man, thanks for being here and doing this podcast with me.
My pleasure. Always big fun. All right. And thank you, DFW area soccer curious people, you. We will speak to you next week on another episode of Third Degree, the podcast.
Dan, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Dan, to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Bearded Dan. Happy birthday to you.
Third Degree, the Third Degree Net Podcast. Third Degree, the Third Degree Net Podcast. Third Degree, the Third Degree Net Podcast. Third Degree, the Third Degree Net Podcast.